The night was chaos. Thunder cracked, lightning tore the sky open, and rain lashed against the earth with violent force. In the distance, fireworks from the village burst, their sharp explosions echoing into the forest. Frightened beyond reason, a golden retriever bolted, his paws slipping through mud as he fled the terrifying noise. His golden coat, usually warm and soft, was now drenched, sticking tightly to his thin body. Breath came in ragged bursts as he slowed, glancing back for a glimpse of home. But there was nothing. No lights. No fences. No familiar scent of his human. Only endless trees. He barked, the sound swallowed instantly by the storm. His heart hammered in his chest. Fear turned into silence, silence into despair. Alone, lost, soaked to the bone, he collapsed beneath towering pines. The forest, vast and unyielding, had claimed him. Yet even in that moment of hopelessness, fate had already set another life in motion, one that would find him and change everything. Morning broke quietly, a pale mist drifting over the ground. The retriever, exhausted, stumbled toward the faint sound of water. He reached a stream, head low, and drank greedily. His reflection wavered in the rippling water. Then, movement. From the bushes, a small wild rabbit emerged. White and gray for damp with dew, big black eyes gleaming with caution. The retriever froze. His instincts flared, chase, pounce, catch. But he was too tired, too hungry, too broken to harm. The rabbit didn't run. She stood still, quivering, yet curious. His eyes softened, ears drooping. For a long moment, predator and prey regarded one another, each broken in their own way. Something shifted. The rabbit hopped a little closer, only to stop. The retriever lowered his head, signaling peace. The forest grew still, as if holding its breath. Two lives, so different, had crossed paths. Both alone. Both vulnerable. But no longer entirely alone. Time in the forest moved strangely. Days blurred into nights. Hunger gnawed constantly. Yet in the bleak rhythm, a bond began to form. The retriever followed at a respectful distance, watching the rabbit. She dug small roots, nibbled leaves, teaching survival without knowing. He imitated her, clumsily at first, but learned. At dusk, owls screeched above. The rabbit, frightened, crept close to his paw, trembling less than before. He lay still, his body a shelter she could trust. The distance between them shrank, little by little. By firefly's glow one night, she rested fully against his side. The retriever lowered his head, eyes closing. For the first time since losing home, he felt warmth, not from the sun, nor from his human, but from this fragile creature who had chosen to stay. Trust was fragile, but it was growing, root by root, heart by heart. The forest was never truly silent. That night, beneath silver moonlight, a sound slithered through the leaves. Grass shifted, branches snapped softly. The rabbit froze, ears rigid, body trembling. From the darkness, a massive snake uncoiled, scales glistening, tongue flickering in and out. Its unblinking eyes locked onto the small trembling body. The retriever surged forward, planting himself between the rabbit and the predator. His fur bristled despite the rain still dripping from it. A growl rumbled deep in his chest. The snake hissed, circling, its muscular body tightening in the dirt. With a sudden strike, it lunged. The retriever snapped his jaws, teeth clashing with scale, forcing the serpent back. But not before sharp fangs grazed his shoulder, leaving a burning pain. He barked ferociously, his voice echoing through the trees. The snake recoiled, slithering back into shadow, its hiss fading into the distance. Breathing hard, wounded but unbroken, he turned. The rabbit hopped forward, nose touching his muzzle gently. Gratitude. Trust. A vow silently spoken. He had protected her, no matter the cost. The days after the attack were heavy. The retriever's shoulder burned, each step slower than the last. Food was scarce. Their bodies grew thinner, weaker. Yet the bond between them grew stronger. One morning, the retriever lifted his head, nose twitching. A smell drifted through the air, faint, smoky, familiar. Wood burning. Bread baking. Humanity. His ears perked, tail flicked weakly. Hope. He barked softly, the sound raspy but alive. The rabbit looked up at him, her black eyes shining with encouragement. She hopped ahead, urging him to follow. Exhaustion weighed on him, but her presence pulled him forward. Together, step by step, they moved toward the scent of life. Even in their weakness, they carried something stronger, belief. Belief that survival was possible. Belief that home was near. The forest turned against them once more. Winds roared, tearing branches from their roots. Rain hammered the ground, flooding trails. Lightning split the sky, striking a tree that crashed violently into the earth. The retriever and rabbit darted into a shallow cave. For a moment, relief, until water rushed in, rising quickly around their paws. Panic surged. He barked, desperate. The rabbit squeezed through a crack in the rocks, finding a narrow escape. He followed, scraping his body against jagged stone, forcing his way through. Outside, the storm unleashed its fury. Rain soaked their bodies, lightning blinded their eyes. The retriever hunched low, sheltering the rabbit beneath his chest as thunder shook the ground. Nature tested them, howling with rage. But together, trembling, soaked, they endured. The storm could not tear apart what had already been forged in fire, fear, and loyalty. Morning returned pale and cold. The retriever collapsed on damp soil, his body trembling with exhaustion, wound on his shoulder raw and painful. His eyes closed halfway, strength nearly gone. The rabbit approached, pressing her small warm body against his chest. Then she disappeared into the undergrowth, only to return with leaves and roots in her mouth. She placed them beside him, nudging his nose gently. He chewed weakly, the bitter taste filling his mouth. She stayed, grooming his wet fur, watching the trees with alert eyes. For the first time, the roles had reversed. He was no longer the protector. She was. In that fragile dawn, compassion became their fire. A tiny creature caring for a much larger one, proving that love and loyalty are not measured by size, but by heart. Days later, hope returned with the wind. The retriever's nose caught a scent: bread, smoke, humans. His ears perked, tail wagged faintly. He barked, weak but clear. The rabbit hopped eagerly, eyes bright. They crossed a stream, pushed through brambles, moving toward the faint sound of laughter. Sunlight broke through mist, painting the forest in gold. The retriever lifted his head higher, eyes shining. For the first time since the stormy night, he believed. Home was not just a dream. It was close. Very close. But the forest held one last trial. A fence of rusted wire cut across the clearing. The ground was thick with mud, sucking at the retriever's legs. He struggled, sinking deeper, his body too weak. The rabbit panicked. She turned, then sprinted toward the distant glow of lanterns. Her small body vanished through the grass. The retriever barked, a desperate, broken cry. Moments later, human voices answered. Flashlights pierced the mist. Max? A familiar call. Arms reached through mud, pulling his body free. Tears filled his brown eyes as he recognized the scent of home, of family. But as he looked back, there in the shadows stood the rabbit. Watching. Waiting. Silent. In his human's embrace, warmth surrounded him. Safety returned. Yet his gaze searched the trees. The rabbit sat still, her fur glowing softly in the rising sun. Their eyes met. In that quiet, 1,000 words passed between them: gratitude, love, farewell. He barked softly, not in warning, but in thanks. She twitched her nose, then turned, hopping back into the forest. The retriever was home again, but changed forever. At night, he would look toward the woods, tail thumping softly, as if remembering. In the forest, the rabbit would sometimes pause, gazing at the distant lights of the village. Two souls. Once lost. Bound forever by a journey of fear, hope, and a friendship born in the unlikeliest place.